These are my guests for today's speech. Thank you guys for coming. I hope you enjoy my persuasive speech. So today I'll be discussing the NOAA, and for those of you that don't know, well, do you guys know what the NOAA is?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
So it stands for the National Oceanic Atmospheric Association. And what they do basically is study and research the ocean. And the ocean, you would think that since it's right in our backyard that we've explored a good deal of the ocean, but in fact only 5% of the ocean's been explored thus far. And as you guys know, the ocean is a very important food source. It's the largest food source on Earth. It also provides towards things such as transportation and also energy. Now, the reason I'm discussing this is because I think that it's unfair for NASA to receive the amount of funds that they do in comparison to the NOAA because of the possible benefits that could occur from more money being put towards the NOAA instead of NASA. Now, NASA is very important, and I don't want to take anything away from their accomplishments because it's made our world what it is today. Without NASA, communication would be completely different. NASA's obviously put satellites in space that has made cell phones and, well, phones in general possible. Also, NASA's played a big part in discovering or attempting to discover inhabitable planets for the future for a long-term sustainable life for humans. Now, in 2012, NASA's budget was $18.7 billion. The NOAA received $4.5 billion. They requested $5.5 from Congress, but they only gave them $4.5. Now, the NOAA is, obviously they research the ocean, so the exploration is much safer than that of going to space in spaceships, which is, that saves a lot of money. And the technology that they've developed over the years has made it safer to go into deeper waters because of the pressure that used to affect the submarines. Also, NASA has experiments where they'll send satellites or unmanned ships quite often, and obviously it's not risky to human life, but if a spaceship blows up in space, it's extremely expensive, whereas the NOAA uses submarines and other types of technology that are less likely to blow up because they're underwater. Now, example of NASA failures is Apollo 11, Apollo 13, as you guys probably know, the Challenger. Good to hear. Now, from things that the NOAA has accomplished from the ocean, so obviously tropical storms are a huge issue. I live close to the beach, so it's a big issue for me and my family, and the NOAA allows us to prepare for tropical storms because of their research by studying tidal waves. They also have developed new forms of energy such as thermal and tidal energy, and in our world we're obviously using an abundance of resources, so finding a new form of energy is very important. Right now, tidal and thermal energy are a little inefficient and expensive, which is why we need to put more funds towards the NOAA so we can find a way to use the waves and the sun on the ocean cheap and efficiently. And as I said earlier, it's the largest food source. 200 billion pounds of seafood is consumed each year annually by the world, and the demand for that is increasing each year. The ocean is also used to discover minerals such as salt, copper, magnesium, which we use in everyday life. And I find this very important that we should continue to fund the NOAA over NASA so that we can discover things in our backyard. 95% of the ocean is undiscovered. So there's plenty of room for discoveries. And as I said, not to take anything away from NASA, because NASA has created our world into something that no one would have pictured 100 years ago. But because it's right on our Earth, the funds need to be directed towards the NOAA so that we can find a long-term sustainable life on Earth. Thank you guys again for listening. I hope you enjoyed my speech.